All right, we're back, part 2 of RBSM Sports Mars M3 build. Before you throw out all your garbage, make sure you go inside the box and pull out the last of the components. Inside the box, you're going to get the pedals, keep those out, a tool kit with everything you need to actually build the bike, really important, your charger, and your manual. So make sure you get those out before you throw away all the garbage. The other thing you want to watch for when you're unpacking it is making sure you find the quick release for the front tire. So that's the very first thing we're going to do. You're going to unscrew it. There's 2 of those springs. You're going to keep those springs on. Once it's unscrewed, we're going to take the tire and we're going to put the skewer with the handle on the, they call the non-drive side, the side that does not have the brake on it. Put your spring back on the back, screw it down, not too tight. We're going to put it on the front. So if you're facing the front of the bike like I am, the rotor, which is the disc rotor, is going to be on your right hand side. Pick it up and drop it in the forks. It takes a little bit of lining up, but once it goes in, it should just pop right in. Just like that. Once that's down, you want to tighten the nut side just till it's just barely snug. And you're going to use the lever to tighten it down completely. You want to get someone to help you with this, balancing the bike. You don't want this too tight, so just enough so that it requires a little bit of pressure to keep closed. Now you can use the kickstand to hold the bike up. Next step is we put the seat in, the seat post. It just slides down and it also has a quick release with a nut on it that you can tighten to tighten your seat post down. Again, it doesn't require a lot of pressure to keep tight. Push it down and as you can see, it won't drop. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the handlebars on. The handlebars are held together with a clamp with 3 bolts. And you come with the included Allen key. We're going to undo them completely. Be careful not to drop the washer that is attached to the bolt. And then the last one. Again, don't drop these. Now the handlebars have to go on very specifically. You don't want them upside down. You want to make sure that the wire harness comes between the stem. And you're going to tilt it up, and if you're facing the back of the bike like I am, there's going to be a little bike computer which is going to be on the right hand side. Once you line it up, you put the bracket back on. And there's a guide here for you to line it up too, so it's not too hard. There's some indentations in the frame or in the handlebars to make it easy. So you want to tighten them down just till they're slightly snug. Once they're slightly snug, you're going to start doing the next pattern, so opposite corners, tightening them down. So you're putting an equal amount of pressure on each side. Once these have been tightened down, the spec on these bolts is 5 Newton meters, which if you don't have a torque wrench, they call tight, not over tight and not loose. So to the point where you have to apply a fair amount of pressure. Once these are tight, we're going to move on to the next part. There we go. The next part is going to be the brake caliper. The one area that might seem a little daunting is actually fairly easy. So once you've unpackaged the brake caliper, like I have, what we're going to do is, there are 2 bolts that are going to go onto the fork of the bike. Just line them up. The caliper is going to slide into the rotor is going to slide into the brake caliper. Nice and easy, not very difficult. And once it's attached, you slide the brake in, and the bolts for the caliper should line up fairly easy, just like that. You want to use your wrench, supplied hex wrench, to tighten it down. Be careful when you're threading this in that you don't cross thread. It should go in nice and easy. There is a little bit of Loctite on the threads on purpose. So there's a little bit of resistance, but you don't want too much. Just like that. And once you get to the point where they're a little bit loose, what you'll do to align the caliper so there's no brake rub, you're going to pull your front brake lever, hold it tight, and then finish tightening the calipers. Again, you need to go fairly tight on this one. The spec on it is about 25 Newton meters, which is pretty much almost as tight as you can make it. Once you finish tightening down the brake caliper, you can do a quick test. Lift up the front end, spin your wheel, and there should be very, very little rub. You might hear a tiny bit of noise, but that's okay. Brand new brakes just take a little time to set in. So just a tiny bit of noise. Squeeze your brake and you should feel a nice firm grip. If you don't, then there's a cable adjustment you can do. But so as far as every bike I've built has had no problem. Last but not least, you want to do your pedals. They are labeled right and left. This is really important because you can't cross-thread them. If you look at these pedals, on the actual front of the pedal, you'll see in very small writing, you will see an L or an R. So you've got L and R. So just like I said, the right hand pedal goes in the right hand crank arm. You thread forward. So you want to thread in the way the bike actually spins. So forward. connect fairly easy. Once you get it connected, you can hand tighten it down to as much as you can, and then we'll use the wrench to tighten it. Comes supplied with the 15mm wrench, tightening forward. Again, your pedals don't need to be super tight, just snug. They're not going to fall off. So the next thing we can do is do a couple safety checks just to make sure the bike is safe to ride. Again, you want to look at the back, make sure you've put air in the tires up to about 55 to 65 psi, somewhere in that neighborhood, front and rear. They may or may not come at that pressure. Usually it's a little lower, so you will have to pump up your bike. And again, you're going to check your rear brakes, spinning the wheel, squeezing your rear brake, making sure it grips and stops. This one does very well. There's no brake rub. Perfect. I'll recheck the front just to make sure. Works well. Now we have the bike built. So that's a very quick and very easy way of building the RBSM Sports Mars M3.